G'day, my name's Josh. Welcome to Read the Bible. What we're doing is reading the Bible for about 5 minutes each day, Monday to Thursday. Thanks for joining us. What we're doing particularly is looking at Jesus. Who is Jesus? And we're going to look at a small section of his life from the account in Mark's Gospel. If you're just joining us today, what we saw in the passage yesterday was that Jesus was speaking in parables as a way of kind of challenging people. Would you actually hear him? Would you listen carefully to what he's saying and be a person who hears and understands, and if the image produces a crop, the kind of person who is headed towards the kingdom of God? Or would you fail to hear and fail to turn and be forgiven? Now, Jesus has been doing his ministry within the nation of Israel. And Israel has kind of two parts at that time. There's the region of Galilee up in the north, where Jesus is at the moment, and there's the region of Judea down in the south, where Jerusalem is. And the northern region on the west coast, or west side, the east side, is bordered by the Sea of Galilee. And most of his traveling and teaching has been around this sea. And today it takes us on top of the sea. Let's have a look. Just looking at a short section, Mark chapter 4, verse 35. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the boat behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Who do you think Jesus is? Who is this man? Isn't that extraordinary what happened? Jesus has been teaching his large crowd, so he and his disciples get on a boat, and the plan is to go to the other side of the lake. The point is that they're crossing the lake to go to the other side. Now, it's not like a chicken crossing the road kind of joke. The key thing about the far side of the lake is that they've crossed out of Israel into the territory of people from other nationalities, people who would have been ritually unclean for Jewish people to visit. They're going, if you like, to the dark side. It's kind of like the sense crossing into foreign soil, into enemy territory. And as they go on this journey there, they go over the lake, the Sea of Galilee, and a storm comes up. And it's terrifying, right? Because the guys Jesus had called to be with him, a bunch of them were fishermen. So they were professional sailors and fishermen who fished the Sea of Galilee. This is their livelihood. And so it's not like me being on a boat with me. I'm no sailor. This is a legit storm. It's beyond the control of these seasoned fishermen to get them through it, and they realize they're going to die. They cry out to him, "Teacher, we're perishing. We're dying here. Don't you care?" It's an interesting question to ask Jesus in a storm, isn't it? Don't you care that we're perishing? It might be you've felt like asking that same sort of question to God yourself. Don't you care that I'm perishing? And Jesus has seemed to be amazingly unworried about this whole thing. He's asleep, sleeping on a cushion. And you see that and you go, what? The storm is so bad, the fishermen are so afraid, the waves are so big they're crashing over, the boat is like it's already going down into the waters, the waves are over the top, and Jesus is asleep. Who is this man? And then verse 39, he gets up and then he speaks. He rebukes the wind and says to the waves, "Quiet, be still." and then it happens. I don't know if you've ever tried that. It's kind of a crazy thing to try, right? Just to walk into the face of a storm and say, quiet, be still. Certainly, I don't know, if you're at a grave, if you're in a hospital and someone's sick, and you just say to the sickness, quiet, be still. Does it stop? When you're in danger of perishing, can you just say something and then you're rescued out of it? Well, Jesus just says to a storm, quiet, be still, and the waves that were breaking over the boat a second ago, threatening to drown them, stop. And the disciples were terrified before this, but at the end, they're even more terrified. Verse 41, they ask each other, who is this? Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. They were afraid of dying, and now they're in a boat with the men who can stop a storm, and they're like, who is this? It's terrifying to be in his presence. And I want to ask you, who do you think Jesus is? Now, his question to the disciples is interesting, isn't it? Verse 40, he said to his disciples, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? And here's the thing. If Jesus is amongst them, if he really is the Son of God, God come to us, if he's come particularly to save us, bringing forgiveness for sin, rescuing people who are perishing under, why were they so afraid? Was it because they didn't actually believe that the man sleeping on the cushion truly was the Son of God? Well, I'd love to hear what you think as well. Feel free to shoot some questions, comments in the chat, and join us tomorrow. As we said, Jesus reached the other side and engage with what he finds there. It's good stuff. Catch you tomorrow.